Today we're studying box and whisker plots. Box and whisker plots are another type of graph that we can use to display data. And this one's interesting and nice to use when you have a general set of data, but you have a few numbers that serve as outliers that fall one way or the other, but they kind of really affect the data that shouldn't. So that's when one situation where you would use a box and whisker plot. Just as a review, we've got the four mean, median, mode, and range, and you've got the four definitions. So if you're still not quite sure about what to do, so I would record these. If you feel pretty confident about all four of them, don't worry about it. The mean is the average for the set of numbers. The median is the number in the middle of the data that when it's arranged in order. The mode is the number that occurs the most times. And the range is the difference of the largest and the smallest data points. So that's right there. So again, if you need to write it, write it. If you don't, I trust you. So now, what I would recommend doing from this point on with the box and whisker, I would recommend on the left-hand side of your page, or if you've already started taking notes on the right, have your notes on the right-hand side, and then on the left-hand side, have the actual box and whisker graph, because we're going to be going back and forth between taking notes and actually creating the box and whisker. So just keep that in mind. So the first thing I want you to record, probably on the left-hand side, is the set of data. 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 12, 12, and 13. On the right-hand side where you're already starting to take notes, go ahead and record these two pieces of data, or definitions. First, to be sure, your data is arranged from least to greatest, and that's going to be true for most of the times we're creating our graphs. Next, you're ready to construct the actual box and whisker graph. You'll need to draw an ordinary number line that extends far enough in both directions to include all of the numbers in your data. So I've already got my number line drawn. Get yours drawn on the left-hand side, below this, enough space where you can write. We're going to need quite a bit of space. So I would write this maybe about halfway down your page. So I've got my number line drawn. And I'm putting my values in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. I've decided to scale my graph by 2s. So even though all those numbers aren't represented here, I've got to allow for the space and the correct intervals. So I chose to use 2s because that covers me from, basically from my low number to over my last number. So the next thing on your note side the next step is to find the median of the entire set of data. So I've got my data. I go from, low to high, low to high, low to high, low to high, and I'm left with 8. So do go through that process, and 8 is my median of the entire set. So label median of the entire set. I do want you to write that down. And then back to your number line, your next thing to do is to take your pencil and draw a pretty nice sized line above the 8, because 8 is your median. The next step, so the next note on the right hand side that you're going to record, is find the median of the lower half. So what that means is I've got my number line, I've got my data written from small to large, and I've already found my median. The next thing I'm going to do is to go again and find the median for the lower half. So draw this in and label it lower quartile. It's a weird word, I know it's going to be hard to say it, but get practicing, quartile. And this is the median of the lower half, so you're recording everything right here. So I'll go again, low, high, low, left with 2 pieces of data, so I'll stop there. So I'm left with 3 and 5. The value between 3 and 5 is 4. So that's my lower quartile, my median of my lower half. So your next step is to draw the next line above the 4, because that's the lower quartile. Well, guess what the next step is? Find the median of the upper half. So what we just did to the left, you're going to do to the right half. And again, we're not using our median number, we're using everything to the right of it. So again, draw that line that makes the upper quartile, and again, upper quartile, and that's the median of the upper half. And that will be, so low, high, left with two numbers, so 12 and 12, so 12 will be the upper quartile. And we draw another line on the 12. So far we have the overall median, we have the lower median, and we have the upper median. Okay, see how it's getting complicated? Well, your next step is to connect those boxes. This represents the median. Okay, that's the median of all the data. Here we go. The whiskers are the smallest and largest numbers of the data. So record that on the note side. The whiskers are the smallest and largest numbers. So for this one, for my lower end, this number is called the lower extreme. And that's the least value. That's my value of 2. So that I go over here above the 2, and this time I put a dot. Okay, so this time I put a dot, and then that dot connects by drawing a line to the median. And again, that's the lower extreme. So we have the lower extreme, the lower quartile, the median, the upper quartile, and guess what's going to be on the other end? You got it, the upper extreme. So we have upper extreme over here, which is 13. Upper extreme, greatest value. Record all of that. And we're going to put our dot down there on 13. Well, obviously there's no 13 here, but I know that 12 and 14, 13 comes in between. So I put my dot there, and I connect it. And these are your whiskers. Get it? Box, whiskers. So now we're stuck with an activity that you get to label things. So I'm going to give you a second to look at it and see if you can remember where everything goes. Okay, so to double check yourself, and if you haven't had time, push pause right now. So our center line is the overall median for the whole set of data. So I drag that right there. Then I've got my upper quartile, that's my median for that. Whoops, slipped off. Having a hard time today, right? So upper quartile goes there, my median goes back. My greatest value goes here with my upper quartile, that's my largest place value. And then I go over here for lower quartile, and that's this set of data. And then my lowest value goes right here. Did you get them all right? If not, write it down one more time just to be sure. All right, if you'd like to try, go ahead and I want you to do these two for homework. So create 2 box and whisker plots using this data, and this one's already been put in order for you. This one has not. So again, remember the first step, put them in order. Second step is to find the median of the whole. Third is to find the median of the lower half. Find the median of the upper half. Connect your box. Then draw your whiskers in for your lowest and highest values. If you need to, try doing this on your own, but if you need to look back through your notes, do that. But be prepared for questions in class tomorrow.